is Dr. T Vara Lakshmi discussing you about the market structures and the types of competitions existing in the market as a part of this business economics and financial analysis. Once a producer has produced a product based on the demand which is analyzed for that product, then he will fixes how many inputs he has to take for the getting of the expected output under productional functions, and also takes the help of the cost and break-even analysis for the fixing of a price to the product. Afterwards, he has to choose a best place to sell that particular product. Not only selling of that one, to meet the whatever the expectations of the customers are all there, reaching that customer's point is a very important factor that is going to be analyzing as a part of this market and market structure. Because as an economist, that is, if an economic concept has to applicable for any organization, it should know that which place gives the maximum benefits to the producer, or which place is having the more scope for the accumulation of the customers, or which kind of markets will give the maximum returns for the producer. That analysis is called as the market and market structure. Once if we see the definition of the market, it is defined as the place where the buyers and sellers will meet. That meeting point is called as the market. That may be on the earth, on a particular country, or on a particular region, state, or a city, wherever it is. It is not the thing that the buyers and sellers has to meet physically, even virtually also. But the expectations of the customers and the output products of the sellers has to meet. That place is called as the market. So let us say in this YouTube channel, you are all watching this particular video, means whatever your expectations of the knowledge is going to be meeting in this one. This is also the exchanging of the knowledge between me and to you. Then it will become a market. It's a place of that one. And if you want the fruits, flowers, whatever the groceries, we will go to a particular place, that is a retail market. So because we are as a customers, we have the needs, we might have the desires, and we might have the wants. So needs, wants, desires, meeting place is called as the market. So to meet that one, the two people are playing a key role, that is the sellers and buyers. And before going to entering as a seller, he should estimate what are the features of that particular market, conditions in that market, how to enter, how to exit, how to survive in that particular place has to analyze by the person. Otherwise, there is no chance of getting maximum profits to the producer, and there is no elements of the economy applications in that one. That's way, if any producer has to get a maximum profits, means he need to apply the economic concepts in the market conditions. That is going to be discussing in this particular video. So the elements of the market, once if we see the exchanging of goods and services mutually in between the customers to the sellers. The sellers may be the makers or the mediators of that particular product. That place is called as the market. Then the concept of market structure gives the knowledge of the number of the buyers and the number of the sellers for the various products from various industry levels is called as the market structures. So we will see oil and gas industries, other manufacturing industries, consumer goods industries, healthcare product, consumer services, telecom industries, utilities, financial services, technologies, materials, agricultural, fisheries, poultry. So like this, various kind of the industries are all there. For each industry or for each firm, how many sellers are all there and how much of customers are all relying on that particular product, and what is the satisfactory levels of these customers and how to meet them to get a maximum economical benefits. that related concepts is called as the market structure. Because if the more the number of the buyers are all there, then if the more the number of the sellers are all there, the meeting point of these sellers and the buyers will be very easy. And what kind of features it has, if any newcomer has to come into that market, and what he has to concentrate, and or only one seller is there and larger number of the buyers are all there, and what kind of strategies that a marketer will place, and what is the phenomena in the markets, everything should be known by the producer. That is termed as the market structure. So that's why in economy related aspects, if any economy strategies has to implement on that market, it should know the strengths, weaknesses, participants, as well as the nature of that particular market conditions. That conditions as termed as the market structure. So the characteristics of the market structure is combinedly categorized as the area, that is the locality of that particular market, and the commodities which are available on that particular market, and the number of the buyers and sellers existing in that market, and competition between the sellers, and pricing factors among that sellers is termed as the characteristics of the market structure. If any person is going to be telling about a market, that market is very far and it is very near, and transportation to that market is very easy and it is very difficult to reach that market, which means that describing the locality of a particular product, that is the characteristics of the market. Or in that market, in that place, so every commodity to the households will be available, all the commodities will be available, you need not to go outside, everything will be available over there. Or in another market, the only few are existing in that particular market and the others are not existing, means the person is describing about the number of commodities or the variety of the commodities which are available in that particular place. So again he is telling the one of the characteristics of the marketplace, that is also called as the market structure. That for this product, more number of buyers are all there, so that's why the price of that product is increasing. So that means he is going to be describing a particular product in particular localities existing buyers, or more number of sellers are all there, no need to worry about the product, it is available for you. Like this, if somebody has told, again he is describing the number of the sellers available for that product, as well as the sellers are all there, but there is a less competition between the sellers are all there if the other person is ready to reduce the price. So which means if more number of the sellers are all there, more competition will exist, less number of the sellers are all there, less competition. Same vice versa for the buyers are also, if more buyers are all there, demand for the product, and less buyers are all there, less demand for the product, which means the demand execution of a product, if in a particular locality estimates, then that is the describing of the competition levels of regarding that product or particular market, as well as the pricing strategies, that is what kind of the price that are existing in that particular market. If they describes, then it is about the pricing elements. So which means the market structure, if anybody is telling about a particular market structure, means they describes about that locality and the number of commodities available, the number of the people, that is buyers and the sellers, competition between the sellers and the buyers, as well as the pricing levels of that particular market that person is going to be explaining. If more the number of the firms are all there, we can say that there is an identical products, and many firms are also there but similar not identical products. These situations might be possible, and only few firms and identical or similar products, or one firm generally and no similar products, or between one no competitor, means one no similar products. So that is the description about that locality, commodities and buyers of that one. Based on this one only, there are certain types of the markets are all there. So let us say many firms are all there. Identical products means the competition is free, more competition. And many firms are all there. Similar products but not identical. So same, they are not same. Different products are all there. So let us say if we go to the fruit market, everywhere same kind of the fruits. Flower market, but different buyers are all there. There is a more competition. But in take of the transportation, air transportation, railway transportation, as well as this road transportation, seaway transportation, but all are the transportations between one destination to another destination. That means many forms similar but not identical. So at that situations, the competition might be equal or sometimes it may not be equal. And a few firms means very few members are all there, identical or similar products, same kind of the products, but few firms are all there. At that time, that is sellers, more number of the sellers and more number of the buyers, and more chance of price increasing. And one firm means commodity price will be at peak levels and no similar products are all there. One key role players are all there in the existing in that market. So these are all the descriptions about the elements involving in the market, that is called as the characteristics of the market structure. So the features of this market structure will give the analysis of industrious buyers structure, that is how many buyers are all there for that particular industry, and what is the turnover of that customers, that is the purchasing capacity of the customers, their income levels, can they able to purchase or not, or the extent of product differentiation, how if the same product, if the manufacturer sells, how many buyers are all there, is there any requirement of the product differentiation or not, or the nature of cost of the inputs he can identify, and the number of players in the market, and vertical integration extent in the same industry, and larger players market share. All these elements can be identifying by the knowledge of market structure by the producer, so that he can take the decision on product variations based on the players, number of the players, number of the buyers which are available in the market. So that is the features of this market structure. Then, if we see, market structure means the producer has to determine about certain elements, that is the number and nature of the sellers, as well as the number and nature of the buyers, as well as the nature of the product and conditions of entry and exit into the market and economies of scale. Everything has to determine by the producer under the concept of the market structure. For example, if the number of the sellers are all more and the nature of the sellers are aggressive, they are not even to sell for the loss. Even if they get the loss or also they are ready, but they doesn't want to change the price. At that situation, can a producer sell his products, his manufactured product or not? Can take the decision, which means he has to determine the before entering into the market, the nature and number of the sellers existing in that market. If the less number of sellers are all there, then it is easy for him to sell that product in that particular place. The same way, if the more number of buyers are all there, then there is a more chance of selling of his produced products. That can, and if that buyer's nature is very adaptable nature, which means even if he increases the price, the people are ready to take that particular product. It means market structure means he has to again identify the number and nature of the product and the conditions of the entry. So is it easy to enter into that market? Any legal aspects he has to take, government permissions he has to take, or the municipality permissions he has to take, and how to exit. That factors are also the producer has to know before going to meeting the particular buyer for the produced product. And if he enters into that market, what is his benefits? What is the competition? What is the strengths of that one? and what are the barriers to that one. Everything he has to identify, that is internal and external economies of scale has to estimate by the producer before entering into the market. So before entering into the market, the producer has to determine all these market structure factors for the best sales expectation. So after the determination, to measure the market structure's impact, there are mainly two methods are all using, that is N firm concentration ratio, where here the combined market share of the N largest firms in a market is going to be taking into the consideration. So market share means the number of competitors, and in that competitors the level of one firm is called as the market share. For example, if in a market 100 units are all selling, and these 100 units are all selling by 4 sellers, out of which first seller is selling 30 number of the units, second seller is selling 20 units, and third seller is selling 35 units, and the fourth seller is selling 15 units. 15 units, that is 30, 20, 50, 85, 100. Out of this one, the market share of the third seller is more than the 3 other sellers. That level of this kind of the analysis in determining the market structure is called as the N firm concentration ratio. There. Next thing is, if it is not possible or not impacted by the changes in the shares of the smaller firms, very small person, that is one person is selling 5 units, another person is selling 6 units. In that cases, they can use the second method of measuring the market share, which is also called as Herfinda-Hirschman's index. That is the summation of market share of all the firms. That is X firms, Y firms, Z firms. So from A to Z, how many number of the sellers are all there? What is the share, market share, and if they includes up to what impact can be there on that market share, can easily identifies with the measurement of the market share. So the measurement of the market share can be calculated either in the form of the N form or in the form of H form. So these are all the two methods of identifying the market structure measurements. So where this knowledge of the market structure is using is called as the significance of the market structure. If the buyer or the seller has the best knowledge on the market structure, then it is possible for the seller to provide the customized products. Customization as per the taste and preferences of the customer, then the seller can arrange the products. So for example, in that market, one kind of the product, one qualitative product is available, the price is very high, and the customers are all purchasing that product because there is no alternative for that one. If the seller has that knowledge, then as per the requirements of the customer, he can produce the product and make available in the market by having the knowledge of this market share. That is, it is easy to provide the customized products with the help of this market structure knowledge. And loss leader identification can also be easy with the help of this market structure. That is, who is getting maximum benefits and who is not getting the maximum benefit is also one of the features of the identifying under the market structures. And pay for best workers can easily possible with the market structure. So that is, who is the best player. If the more the number of the buyers are all attracting towards that product, means we can say that the best working conditions are all there in that particular firm, and it is easy to identify by the buyers also to give the maximum benefits to the firm. Automatically, if the firm gets the profits, it will give the more benefits to the employees and top players of that particular business ones. And as a market structure, nowadays it has become very easy to get the online reviews. So firms can get the maximum reviews with the help of this market structure. Through the online also they can get, and it is easy to identify the location and convincing factors of the buyers. If the product is very far to the buyers, and because of that one, if they are unable to sell that product, they can easily identify that barriers with the help of this market structure knowledge. And it is also easy for the producer to produce the new products which is appropriate to the requirement in the market conditions as per the trends. And to give the level of, to decide the level of the promotional activities like advertisements, promotions can also decide by having the knowledge of market structure. That is the significance of the market structure. Once if we see the types of the competitions in the market under the market structure, the two types of the competitions will be exist. One is direct competition and indirect competition. Direct competition means the product of producing by or selling by the sellers and the number of requirements of the buyers is same. That means the competition between the two sellers, and the two sellers are all selling the same product, then that is called as the direct competition. Then if the one producer is selling the another product and the another seller is selling the one more product, the customers satisfactory level is going to be satisfying with the both the products which are selling by the products, then that is called as the indirect competition. Direct competition and indirect competition. In other words, direct competition market is called as the perfect competition market, and indirect competition market is called as the imperfect competition market. So which means monopoly power will be more in the imperfect competition, which means one seller and larger number of the buyers will be exist. If no one seller, larger number of the sellers and the larger number of the buyers are all there, then it is called as the perfect competition markets. So here in this tabular form, it is very clearly showing that for the perfect competition market, number of the buyers are all many. Even the number of the sellers are also many. But in the imperfect market, if the number of the sellers are all many, then the number of buyers may be few. Or if the number of the buyers are all many, if the number of the sellers might also be few. So which means there is an imbalances between the existing of the sellers and buyers, then market condition will be called as imperfect competition market. It is very easy to enter and exit in the perfect competition markets, but somehow it is very difficult to enter or exit from the imperfect competition markets because the homogeneous products are all there in the perfect competition markets, but various differentiated products will be exist in this imperfect competition market. So that's why the information is more available for any markets, then that markets will be called as perfect competition markets, and only a newcomers are all there or a few members are all there and the information available about that market is less, then that markets will be called as imperfect competitive markets. So to determine the types of the market structure, it is better to understand the supply and demand aspects. Assume that if the price of the product is increasing, then demand for the product will be reduces. So that's why if the price is reducing, demand for the product will be reduces. And if the number of the price, if a people are ready to spend is, that is called as the supply curve. Demand and supply. So in this one, the demand is high and gradually the demand will become low. Initially the supply is very low and gradually it will becomes high. So which means there is a need of 100 products and 50 products are all available in the market. 50 products are all available in the market. Then generally the price for the product will be high and the number of the sellers are all low, but the number of the buyers are all larger. That is the condition of imperfect competitive markets. Here if we see, there is a need of the 100 products, that is demand is low and 150 products are available in the market. That supply is very high. So at this condition, buyers are all low, but the sellers are all at larger position. The sellers are all at larger position. This is also called as imperfect competitive markets. The meeting point of the supply and demand of the product is called as the equilibrium point. That equilibrium point is called as perfect competitive market. So where if there is 100 number of the need is there and 100 number of supply of the products is there, that meeting point is called as equilibrium point or perfect competition market. So again in this first case, the sellers are all less, but the buyers are all need is high, means it is buyers are all larger number. If the seller is the one person or a few person, two persons, then that is called as, sellers will be called as the poly and the buyers will be called as optiony. In Latin word, buyer will be seller will be called as poly and buyer will be called as optiony. So if the seller is single person and the buyers are all at larger position, then it will be called as monopoly market. Monopoly market means single seller, larger number of buyers. If two number of the sellers are all there, duopoly, that is two sellers, larger number of buyers, and few are there, not more than two, but not larger, a very few members are all there, that is called as oligopoly. Oligo means a few, poly means seller, oligopoly market, where few sellers and larger number of buyers. If it case reverses, that is in this region the sellers are larger, like in the case of the agricultural products, and the buyers are all maybe few, that is one, two or few. Here is also imperfect competition is there, that is monopsony, single buyer, larger number of the sellers. Duopsony, two buyers, larger number of sellers. Few, that is oligopsony, few buyers, larger number of sellers. So here the imperfect competition may be in the terms of the sellers or in terms of the buyers and the proportionate between the sellers and buyers. But the larger number of the sellers, larger number of the buyers, or the number of the buyers and sellers mostly equivalent, then that condition will be called as perfect competitive market. It doesn't mean that all the people should be the sellers and the buyers, but the buyers requirement is 100, the sellers are all 10 members, each person is selling 10, means the number of the sellers is equals to the buyers only, but the sellers are all selling 100 products, but the requirement is only for 50, then that is an inequality. They are selling 150, but the requirement is again more than that one, then again there is an inequality. So that is the types of the market structures based on the competition existing in the market. So in a brief, if we have to know the imperfect competition market structures, so market structures that does not meet the conditions of the perfect condition is called as the imperfect competitive markets. Like there is a barriers to enter into that particular markets based on this new forms of the entry of the firms and their expertise, equipments, facilities, licensing fees may give some additional cost or the additional barriers for the entering into that market, and startup costs will be more for that one. And the imperfect competition markets may be monopolistic competition, oligopoly, oligopsony, monopoly or monopsony, duopoly, and duopsony. So thank you.
Like, share and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for more updates.